What's up, everybody? Hope you had a great weekend. It's kind of chilly down here in South Florida, so I had to break out the sweatshirt and the inside t-shirt, even in the house, because I hate turning on the heat. It'll warm up eventually, so it's fine. I got to ask you guys a question. Some of you guys have been Dolphins fans for quite some time. Some of you guys are Johnny-come-latelys or Joan-come-latelys since Tua has been with the team. And I just wonder, do you remember these days? Can you sit back and go, oh yes, I remember when nobody showed up to the games, and some of the people that did show up to the games were so completely despondent that they wore bags on their heads. They actually wore bags on their heads in the stadium because the team stunk so bad. I remember because that's when I first got my call from the Miami Dolphins front office. No, not to play, but they needed some marketing help. They wanted me to come up with promotions that would get people into the stands, that would get the people in the stands more engaged. $1 million kicks, throwing competitions, all kinds of stupid things. Just try to help people get engaged. And it seems like that was a simpler time. It seems like that was a time where people could see what was going on the field, see what was going on in the front office, and because they bought their tickets, they felt they had the right, which they did, to voice their displeasure. Nobody called them fake fans. Nobody called them nuts and said, don't root for this team anymore. Nobody told them, don't come to the game. Everybody kind of embraced the suck. Everybody pretty much went, wow, man, we're looking at some sucky players out here and things ain't working well. And everybody understood what they were looking at. Segue up into, what are we in, 2024, and you've got Tuanon and Tua on this team. And now you're not allowed in any way, shape, or fashion to openly criticize the guy who's not getting it done. There's always an excuse. Always an excuse. I long for the day when we could actually amuse each other by saying, oh man, these guys really suck. These guys aren't doing well. Now, obviously, the Dolphins don't suck. They made it to the playoffs. They've improved. They got bounced out again in the first round. It's not as bad as the days when we had to wear bags on our heads. Nothing close to that. But if you don't guard the team, if you don't guard the organization and prepare, it's not that far away from it happening again. You see, everyone who's all up in the Tuanon, who's all up in Tua, who seem to be more Tua fans than team fans, don't understand that. It is a quick, short trip from being in the playoffs to having people wearing bags on their heads. It's not that far away. Not far away at all. And nowadays, with the salary cap and what you have to do to manipulate the cap to get the best players on the team, how you have to draft, make sure that draft is successful in order to continue to prosper as a team, that has to be on point. There is no room for mistakes. There's no room. You can't continually whiff and expect to be a championship level organization. You have to get players, keep those players, and keep the organization moving forward. And you have to keep looking for that guy. You can't just keep saying to yourself every year, it's going to be better. It's going to be better. These guys will age. These guys will get hurt. These guys will move on. And then sooner than you know it, you're wearing a bag on your head. It's inevitable if the organization is not prepared. With that, did you guys watch the playoff or the championships this past weekend? We saw Detroit against San Francisco. Great game. Detroit folded, but you saw Detroit against San Francisco. Then or before that, you saw Kansas City and the Baltimore Ravens. Despite anything that you feel in watching those games, did you realize how those teams came to be, number one? And number two, did you see, and hopefully if you have an objective eye, the Miami Dolphins can't play at that level at this point. It's not debatable. Obviously, they were watching it at home with you. They weren't there. They were defeated. Oh, about the weather. Yeah. Oh, about the offensive line. Oh, about the injuries. At some point, you have to stop and look at reality. People say, Barry, you're bashing the team too much. No, I'm trying to talk to people. I'm trying to talk to as many people as possible and say, do you want this again? Is that what you want? Do you want to wear a bag in the stadium? Because it's inevitable if this team doesn't change. I can't continue to ring the bell and say everything's fine when I can look at a game and I see 4 teams playing and I can say, whew, our guys can't play with those guys. Our guys aren't at that level. Okay, so if they're not at that level, what do we need to do to get to that level? Well, that would have started a couple years ago. And Chris Greer and this organization are not doing what's necessary to keep this team moving in the future. They are basically ushering in a time where the bags could come back, where the stadium could be empty. This team starts off next year and goes 0-4, 0-5. Watch the tickets disappear. People won't be there. They're going to have to come out the gate running and be prepared to hit the ground running. Have you seen the schedule next year? Do you think they're prepared to hit the ground running? I keep hearing from people all over. Barry, you're right, but these people are nuts out here, and they're nuts. And I'm seeing many people basically saying, we're done. We just can't keep hoping for next year. I don't have a problem with hoping for next year as long as I see the organization moving towards next year. Where are we right now? Well, we already know that Tua can't play in cold weather or hasn't been able to do that. We already know that this team basically folds late in the season, especially against good teams. We already know that Mike McDaniel has a problem either calling plays or understanding or being honest with the limitations of his quarterback. We already know that certain defensive coordinators didn't want to be here because he felt that the players might have been soft. We already know all this. And they're interviewing different people and trying to get in defensive coordinators. And one, I think the Carolina Panthers Panthers said, nah, we're going to block you. And I'm going to talk about that later. But they can't even at this point. I understand Leslie Frazier and Slowick and a couple guys are being interviewed. Understand what a good team does. Understand what a team that doesn't want to see its fans in bags do. They start moving forward. As of today, this team, which got bounced out of the playoffs, is not moving forward. Philadelphia Eagles crapped the bed at the end of the season, complete implosion. What did they do? Boom. They've already got a new offensive coordinator in Kellen Moore, and they already have a new defensive coordinator in Vic Fangio. Boom, got it done. Got it done. We had to get these guys in-house, get them ready for next year. Los Angeles Chargers. Hey, Staley, you got to go. Jim Harbaugh, fresh off a national championship, boom, get in here. They just signed a new GM. Teams that want to be great act like teams that are great. The Miami Dolphins seem to be wallowing in some sort of quagmire that they can't extract themselves from. And it just keeps perpetuating. And if you have a real focus and a real look at things, it's not bashing, it's complete reality. I want to share something with you. I wrote something today, and a lot of people asked me about it. Excuse me. And it says, and this was basically done with some research. How Super Bowl organizations become elite teams. Unlike the Miami Dolphins, they aren't afraid to scrutinize the quarterback position. What I mean by that is, look at the team from yesterday, the Kansas City Chiefs. Little insight. The 49ers moved on from their third overall pick, not fifth like Tua, their third overall pick, Trey Lance, after 1 year, and brought on Mr. Irrelevant, who's since become quite relevant. The dude is going to the Super Bowl. He was Mr. Irrelevant, and he's going to the Super Bowl. May have done it last year if he didn't get hurt in the game. The Kansas City Chiefs also drafted Patrick Mahomes with the 10th overall pick in a year when their existing quarterback, Alex Smith, led the league in passer rating. So everyone who keeps dreaming about Tua is going to get better and that we're going to see, something happen in his fifth year, you're dreaming. It doesn't take 4 and 5 years to see if somebody has it. And don't get me started on yards and stats and all that kind of crap. We don't need to see that, do we? Do you really need to look at the stats when you look at what this offense was and what Mike McDaniel was doing? I mean, if you want to look at stats, go ahead and cut the stats off of the crap teams and look at what happened with the good teams. Use your own edificating view and perspective and understand this team is in trouble. It is a train wreck, and it's a train wreck of epic proportions. And if it doesn't get fixed, we're going to see people with bags on their heads again. So people say, Barry, you don't talk about anything positive. And I told you when the season ended, it was going to be a long 8 or 9 months of unknown, of stuff not being positive because they're not generating anything positive. Just think about what's happened since that loss, since that last game of the season when Kansas City bounced them off the playoffs. You've lost your defensive coordinator. You got players looking to leave because of free agency. You got other coaches taking other jobs. These are all subtractions. We're not seeing the additions yet. We're not seeing any sort of turn to improvement. And I don't know how long it's going to take to get there. Hopefully they'll sign a defensive coordinator relatively soon. And then that defensive coordinator is going to come in, and what's he going to do? Come in and come up with another system that's going to piss off these soft guys? I don't want to play into that kind of system. He's making me run and hit and do different things. I don't want to do that. Yes, this team has become soft. Soft mentally and soft physically. And I'm going to show you some of the mental softness soon. You got the Tyreek thing, which we're going to talk about. People are like, stop talking about Tyreek, man. It has nothing to do with football. It has to do with character. Character builds men. Character builds men who you can build a franchise around. Do you think, and I'm going to show you, do you think that Don Shula, who everybody heralds, would be putting up with the shit that we're seeing with these Miami Dolphins? You may not be seeing it. That's the other thing. You may not be seeing all the things that I'm seeing. So I'm going to talk to you about some of that this evening. So I just want to bring you up to speed on what's been happening. We've got another thing I want to talk about, and I'm going to start with the head coach. So let's start with the head coach. I put this up today. There seems to be a lot of conversation around here about Tua this and Tua that, but one thing that isn't discussed is coaching. From what y'all see in the last couple of weeks, do you really think that Mike McDaniel is in the same class of coaches as the Super Bowl contenders? Why are so many things surrounding the Miami Dolphins a let's see how it develops kind of thing? That was another thing from this weekend that I saw. Man, I saw Andy Reid. I saw John Harbaugh. I saw Mike Shanahan. And I realized, and Dan Campbell until he made a couple bad mistakes, but he's new relatively as well. These established coaches, Mike McDaniel's not on their level. He is going to have to work to get to that level. He's going to have to work and hopefully on-the-job training and get to a point where, we're not worried about having to wear bags over our heads. And I've got another article by Dave Hyde, who I'm starting to really like his writing, because unlike some of these other shills that are out there, Dave Hyde is putting it out there and putting it in people's face and saying, I've been in town for 30 plus years, and here's what I'm seeing, and this ain't it. So you young fans, you Tua-noners, you guys who think that Tua walks on water, and you got other people who've watched this game for a long time, not for a couple years because Tua's on the team, but have watched football for a long period of time and sit back and go, we got problems. We got some problems. So I say it starts with the coach. Mike McDaniel, you're there. You're a brand new coach. You never was a head coach. You never were a head coach anywhere else. You weren't even a coordinator. You were a running game coordinator, which is below an offensive coordinator. Somehow you got picked to get the keys to the car, and you became the head coach. And in 2 years, you're still making the same mistakes that you made as a freshman. Communication, whatever that means. Lack of adjustments. We all see it. What is going to change? Well, Barry, you're talking about negative stuff. Okay, what's changing? Tell me. If you don't want me to talk about this stuff because it's painful, it sounds like bashing, well then tell me what you want to talk about. When news pops up and the news that's out there ain't good, are we supposed to ignore it? Are we supposed to just pretend that it doesn't even exist? Or would you like to know about it? So, let's talk about a coaching change. You guys know we need to have a new defensive coordinator. And then this pops up today. The Carolina Panthers have blocked defensive coordinator Ejiro Evero from even interviewing with the Miami Dolphins and Jacksonville Jaguars and the Giants. Nope, you can't even interview. We don't want you interviewing. Why would that be? Why would someone not want their coach to even interview? Well, this came out, and this is this morning. It said Ejiro Evero could still be in play for Packers as defensive coordinator candidate. And I was reading this article, and I'm scrolling down here, and they're talking about different things. And lo and behold, look what name pops up right here. Look at the name that pops up here. Evero's early influence at the NFL level was coordinator Vic Fangio. Evero runs a similar scheme, possibly making for an easy transition away from Barry in 2024 and beyond. So this guy who they wanted to interview, who they sought to interview, runs a same damn scheme as Vic Fangio. He was a Vic Fangio protege. And they were looking to interview with a guy who's very similar to the guy that they just couldn't get along with. Make it make sense. Make it make sense why you wanted to talk to a guy who's basically a clone of the guy you just parted ways with. Did you know that? Oh, but it gets better. It gets better because also today, and I told you this about Dave Hyde, and I'll take some of your comments real soon here, there was so much stuff going on out there and talk about Vic Fangio and the defense wasn't any good. And then this article pops up. All right, so this is from Dave Hyde. Dave Hyde, Fangio's exit is a loss for the Dolphins. How big of a one depends on McDaniel's next move. Old school defensive coordinator saw football different than a new school Dolphins regime. Yes, we are in the era of wokeness. We are in the era of participation trophies. We are in the era where don't talk to me that way. You're going to disrespect me. Don't talk that way to me. I don't like the way you're talking to me. I come from an era where a coach told you to do something, you did it. Coach says roll around in the mud, you roll around in the mud. He was the boss. Not these days though. You can't hurt my feelings. I'm all up in my feelings here. And so now you've got these guys that are out there and they posted Instagram videos and they posted tweets about how they were happy that Vic Fangio was gone. Let me ask you a question. would Don Shula have put up with that shit? Would Don Shula have allowed these guys to basically deface the organization because it was somebody they didn't like? Well, Dave Hyde's been around quite a bit, so he talks about it. He goes, it always was there in between his words, a connection to some disconnect, like when Vic Fangio was asked in December about the philosophy of fun. The philosophy of fun. We're all going to have a great time here around the Miami Dolphins. Yeah, I think it starts with Mike. Boom. You guys remember that? He put it on Mike. This guy is setting the culture and the tone of this locker room. That's on him. He said it. I think it starts with Mike. That's his approach. Fangio knew right then, hey man, we got a problem here. These guys just want to have fun. Was it ever Fangio's, or in answering why didn't he have any say in a crop of emergency defensive players signed before the playoff game, those guys they got from Walmart, just as he had all season? Every place is different. He didn't want to demean Mike McDaniel or Chris Greer, so he just said every place is different. Not exactly housewarming words. Fangio is out, and don't read that as he was fired or pushed or ushered out of town. Don't read it as some big surprise either. The way it was framed nationally, stunner, as one caption read. Just last week, Mike McDaniel tapped answer on a direct question about Fangio's status by going down side roads avenues about the grieving process of losing, his meetings with players, and how then we'll get together as a coaching staff, excuse me, and kind of undress the season in a painful but productive way. So was this move painful, productive, or just inevitable? It was a definition of a mutual decision of two sides seeing football differently. Now listen to what Dave Hyde says here. This is funny as shit. Of an old school sweatshirt, ball cap, defensive coach seeing the world unlike the new school knapsack and jogger pants to the Cavs head coach. Oh, if that wasn't a shot, I don't know what that is. Mike McDaniel out there running around in capri pants and designer sneakers, and you got an old guy who's out there, old ball coach, looking to talk to these players, and this guy's running around in capri pants and designer sneakers and designer sunglasses. Compare it to Shula. That's all I'm going to ask you. Compare it to Shula. To me, I remember one time, and you guys may not believe this, I used to have long hair. And one of my buddies had long hair. And he opened a restaurant. And his father came to see him one day at his restaurant that he opened. And he had his chef jacket, and he was walking around and talking to people in the crowd. And his father said, "You grew your hair long." He goes, "Yeah, that's the style these days." And he goes, "What style?" He goes, "All the guys, I see on TV are wearing their hair long, and they're chefs." And he goes, "Yeah, when you become as successful as them, then you can go ahead and do what you want. Right now, cut your damn hair." My friend cut his hair the very next day. I mean, you can't be that kind of guy and expect the team to respond. All right, so let's continue. Fangio saw defense, though. Let's underline that. This is a loss simply because he kept the Miami Dolphins afloat by season end. You remember all the people out there screaming about how Fangio's defense wasn't any good? Dave Hyde and other people who know football said this defense kept the team afloat. I mean, it's pretty simple. 2 touchdowns against Buffalo in the regular season, despite being down 4 starters. 26 points on the playoff road loss at Kansas City, 1 less than Buffalo's defense allowed at home last weekend, despite being down 6 starters. Fangio can coach as the Philadelphia Eagles or his former San Francisco 49ers boss, Jim Harbaugh, will find out next year. There's a reason 10 defenses run some version of his scheme. 10 defenses in the NFL run some versions of the Fangio scheme. A reason why he's the rare defensive coordinator with a coaching tree of apprentices. The Dolphins just lost the OG, the original, and McDaniel faces important a decision as he'll have in the offseason. As important a decision as he'll have in the offseason, and an offseason full of important decisions. He doesn't delve into defense, meaning he doesn't know defense. So who does he pick to be his coach now? No good news. No good news. The Connect the Dots crowd has hired former Los Angeles Chargers coach Brandon Staley because he shares an agent with McDaniel as well as modern worldview of analytics. The Connect the Dots crowd. You know who the Connect the Dots crowd are. I don't even have to mention them anymore. Anything that's news with the Miami Dolphins, they are applauding like sheep. Seals, rather. Yeah, this is fantastic. The Connect the Dots crowd. So let's continue. But is anyone excited about a defensive coach who's defensive ranked 22nd, 30th, 23rd, and 21st in his 4 years with the Chargers? He's talking about Staley, who got waves of talent but never molded it into a working unit. See, these people out there were like, oh, we got to have Brandon Staley. They have no idea. The obvious point is Mike McDaniel needs to find a coach who aligns with his ways as much as plays winning defense. 3 years in, and he's on his third defensive coordinator. That alone, when you're shuffling the deck that much, you're 3 years in, and you got 3 different defensive coordinators, you got a problem. Am I saying that? No, it's obvious. You got 3 different defensive coordinators. Why is that? Something's wrong. Fix it. Have you fixed it? I understand today they're looking at Leslie Frazier. Who knows who they're going to bring in? But as of right now, that has not been fixed. McDaniel and Fangio always were an odd couple in age, ideas, temperament, and just how they spoke about players. McDaniel always pushed the positive, massaging words and egos when necessary, as Fangio was paint-curtainly honest. Just going to tell you how I feel. Show it to me straight. Tell me what you really think. Why would you not want that? Why is Mike McDaniel out there coddling people and massaging their egos? Why the hell would you do that? You're the head friggin' coach. You're not their buddy. That's a problem. Just improve in all areas, assignment, technique, execution, know how he answered about what rookie cornerback Cam Smith had to do to get on the field. And of course, Cam Smith, being the rookie that he is and some of his past indiscretions, goes out and he tweets something negative about Vic Fangio not being there. So what's going to have to happen next year? You talk some shit. You think that it was Vic Fangio who caused you not to play. Now that you've talked your shit, what are you going to do next year? You got to back it up. You have to back it up. In some places, the young cop, old cop routine would play well together, but if McDaniel was about redefining some ideas of a football coach, Fangio's definitions were set on how he saw football at age 65. So when everyone, raising my hand, was praising the Dolphins' offense after a 70-point game against Denver in September, Fangio gave some old-school caution about discussing it in historical terms, and this ticked a lot of people off. I don't think we should go there yet after 3 games. We'll see how we do on the road against a good defense this week. And I could go on with that article. As you saw, there was more stuff highlighted. But Fangio saw it. He saw it, that there was a problem. He goes, don't crown the king right now. Let's see what happens in a few weeks. You understand what he saw? I'll read that to you again right here. I don't think we should go there yet after 3 games. We'll see how we do on the road against a good defense this week. Fangio knew from watching practices that this team more than likely was not prepared to begin playing offense against some of the good defensive squads in the league. People missed it, or they didn't want to hear it because they don't like hearing anything negative. Fangio saw it. Pretty much came out and said, we're going to be in trouble against these good teams. What you're seeing right now, don't go too quick in giving Mike McDaniel the crown. It's not what you think, man. It's not what you think. He could see it. He could see that this offense was going to falter against the good defenses out there. The fans didn't want to see it. Fans still to this day don't want to hear it. You'll hear it if you have to put the bags back on your head. Because now, this guy who's been in the league for a long time knows a lot of people. And don't think for an instant he's not talking. Mike McDaniel, Chris Greer do not have the Rolodex of Vic Fangio. So I know some of you younger fans think it's all for the best because it's cool because the guys didn't like him and, he upset them and they were upset and they didn't want Vic Fangio talking shit to him. Okay, Here you go. Here you go, right there. Now he's not here. He happily went to Philadelphia. Philadelphia couldn't wait to get him up there. I'm sure he probably had his pick of jobs anywhere he wanted to go. And now Miami is struggling and interviewing everybody they possibly can because Mike McDaniel can't reel in a coach. Good news or bad news? How are you taking that? Good news or bad news? So with that, let me go ahead and take a few comments if you guys are still here. McDaniel uses let me make sure this comes up. Did that not come up? Why did that not come up? Oh, there. McDaniel uses a positive approach and worked with Tua, so McDaniel deserves some credit to his system. What worked with Tua? Coddling him? You're good? You don't suck? Is that worked with Tua? Okay. Hey, what's up, Capswell? Nice to see you. It appears that Ross and Greer don't work well with masculine men like Flores, Fangio, or Dan Campbell, and Greer drafts players who share that same sentiment and emotional condition. I added that. You're absolutely right. I'm going to show you some of that next in terms of the type of men, not player, type of men that the Miami Dolphins are coddling. McDaniel's play 2 playoff appearances with trash everything. Didn't have trash everything. Good defense. Number 1 wide receiver in the league. Another 1,000-yard wide receiver in Jalen Waddle. Trash everything? No. Okay, not at all. McDaniel needs a defensive corner that says bro just as much as he does. Then they can be best friends with the players. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. I just keep going back to it, guys. And I'm just going to say it to you. Maybe we need to get bracelets put up. WWDS, what would Don Shula do? I would almost think as Mike is walking through the halls of the Miami Dolphins organization and he's seeing all the different things from the 72 team, and he's probably talked to some of these players, including Dan Marino. And Dan Marino, I can tell you, Dan Marino is a son of a bitch. And I can't believe he's at all happy with some of the crap he's seeing. I mean, if you've seen Dan Marino's personality, he'll call you out. Tua ain't calling nobody out. Barry, losing coaches happens. What do you think McDaniel can do moving forward to get the train back on the tracks? It's possible, right? Okay. Good comment, good question. So what can McDaniel do to get the train back on the tracks? I don't know if it's in his personality. That's my concern. You've got between starters and practice squad and backups, basically 100 men who are hanging on your words. And if you don't understand, well, put it yourself. You have children. You want to be friends with your children, or you want to be dad? Dad can hang out and take you to the ballpark, or dad can put you in the bedroom and say, stay in here and take away the keys. You can't play on your phone. You have to be able to discipline. We watched Hard Knocks. You saw what happened. It doesn't seem like discipline is part of what he does. You're going to have to get these guys and maybe change your way of looking at things. And I'm talking about McDaniel in terms of letting these guys know you expect more out of them. It seems from what we've seen outside looking in that you have to wonder if that's part of his personality. I'm going to show you a couple of things that makes me question whether he has the ability to be authoritarian with the guys on this team. I don't think he can. I think he's so used to helping guys like Tua understand you don't suck that he's afraid now to say, Tua, you do suck. And I don't mean suck in terms of he's terrible, but that right now they should be looking at bringing in another quarterback to compete with Tua. Tua, first off, we're not paying you the money. We're not giving you $50 million, number one. Number two, we're also going to draft somebody. We're gonna do just like Kansas City. We're going to do just like the 49ers. We're going to bring somebody in. We're not talking Mike White or Skyler. We're not going to talk about some backup. We are going to bring in someone whose ability shows us they could compete with you for the job. let the best man win. I said that a year ago when all these quarterbacks were looking to come different places and wanted certain money, and people said, no, Tua. I'm like, what is wrong with competition? What is wrong with saying, hey, I'm here to take your job. They're going to give me the opportunity to take your job. Let's go. Shake hands. Let's make it happen. Let's see what happens. Why is that a bad thing? The only way that could be a bad thing is you are not being honest with yourself. You are saying that Tua emotionally can't handle it. That's what you're saying to yourself. If for some reason the Dolphins were able to trade up and get somebody like a Michael Penix, if they were able to bring somebody in who's a free agent and this guy's going to compete with Tua, get reps, you have a problem with that? Why would you have a problem with that? I don't think you'd have a problem if they brought in a defensive tackle to go up against Christian Wilkins. I don't think you'd have a problem if they brought in some guard and to see if you could take Liam Eichenberg's place. I don't think anyone would have a problem with that. I don't think Tyreek would care. Hey, listen, we got this hot shot wide receiver who wants to take on Tyreek. Tyreek be like, bring it. Bring it, bro. Let's see what you got. But it's off limits with Tua. They don't even want to bring anybody in. You brought in friggin' Mike White. All these quarterbacks were out there, and you didn't want to bring somebody else in. So your answer to your question is Mike McDaniel has to have the willingness to compete, the willingness to say, I need to put the best 22 guys on the field, regardless of your feelings. Tua is not afraid of competition. Tua competed with Jalen Hurts in college for the QB job and beat him out. All right, so if you feel that way, then you would be okay with the Dolphins drafting another quarterback. Perfect. If he's, and then the second question I would ask you, if Tua is not afraid of competition, is it Mike McDaniel who's afraid of putting somebody in competition with Tua? I would hope you are right. I hope Tua would say, let's do it, dude. It's mano a mano. Let's the best guy win. I hope you're completely right that Tua isn't afraid of competition. Somebody is. It's obvious at this point. If it's not Tua, then it's Chris Greer and Mike McDaniel. But somebody is. You can't go into a season like the last two and not bring somebody in to compete for QB1. It's malpractice at this point. I'm fine with drafting a QB. Yeah, okay, that's what I'm saying. That's all I'm saying, Jermaine. Let's bring somebody in, and basically, if Tua can beat out some guy who gets the same reps, who gets the same amount of time trying to play with the first squad, yeah, then you've earned it, and you are QB1. I'd be the first one to applaud that. My problem is they won't do it. They're already talking about giving this guy $50 million, which people are like, are you crazy? Let him play the fifth-year option. But I digress. I'll take a Purdy-type quarterback if we can find him in the draft. They're there. It's hit or miss. You're not sure if it's going to happen, but at least you try. At least you got to get in there and say, listen, let's sign a couple guys. We don't know who's going to... I mean, think about all the quarterbacks who were brought in and ended up replacing the guy who was there. Patrick Mahomes replaced Alex Smith. Tom Brady replaced Drew Bledsoe. You had a guy. You definitely have a guy. You just had a guy behind him who was like, I'm going to take the reins here and just go with it. You're going to give me the opportunity. I'm going to show you what I can do. That's all I'm saying with that. It's Greer who's afraid. It's why he signed Mike White to make Tua look like the better option. Yeah, exactly. And people say, well, Teddy Bridgewater and Skyler didn't do anything last year. When you say that, you're exposing yourself as not understanding how many reps you get in practice. When you're QB1, you run with the first team. You run with the big dogs. And then the backups come in and they don't get any time in practice. Now is the time when you're going into mini camp and all this other stuff. This is when you would start showing, hey, okay, you're going to run with the first team this time, Fred. All right, Tua, you're going to run with the first team this time. And you start seeing how guys react with the different quarterbacks, and you instill the offense, and you keep that going all the way from basically March to September, where you're getting and you're testing the reps. So it's pretty easy. Again, somebody says Chris Greer won't let go of players he's afraid of looking bad. How bad will he look if the Dolphins end up having a same or worse season next year? You got to believe at this point that before the bags come on, before people start looking at the bags and talking about this stuff, that he either has to win or he and Mike are going to both be gone. I would be amazed if they go 9-8 again next year if either one of them keep their jobs. This was a year when all these head coaches were available, but they didn't keep it. So let me segue into what do I want to talk about now? I also, at the end of the season, you want to look at something. So let me just put this out there too. I want to discuss this with you. This somebody posted today, and it was completely eye-opening, stunning. This is the list of the postseason stats. I know you guys all love stats, so let's look at some stats. NFL player passing postseason stats 2023, and it is rounded, or rather sorted, in QBR. These are all the quarterbacks that played this year, cross-conference, in the playoffs thus far. Look who comes last. Dead friggin' last. With a 15.9 QBR. 15.9. Didn't make it up. There it is, right there. Dead last. Behind friggin' Mason Rudolph. Dead frickin' last. There's no excuse to be made for that. How did you come in dead last? How did that happen? How can you be enthusiastic about going into the next season when your quarterback at the end crapped the bed and in the playoff game laid a complete egg? Forget all the 4,000 yards and everything he did when it was nice and sunny against shit teams. When you look at how he played against the good teams, the playoff caliber teams, you cannot ignore that as a head coach. You were the worst quarterback in the playoffs, bar none. 0. You were the low bar. Well, Barry, it was cold outside. Are you really going to say that? Are you really going to say that knowing that the number one guy played in the same damn game? Number one. He's right there. Tua, dead last. Dead friggin' last. There is no excuse possible that you can give to say that this guy deserves $50 million. The only excuse you can say is he threw for 4,000 yards. Okay. But when it was money time, when it counted, he got beat out by Mason friggin' Rudolph. It's right there in front of you. I don't know what people expect. It's not bad. How can showing you the exact stats be bashing somebody? How can that possibly be? How do you think that's trashing Tua when I'm showing you the exact stats? 15.9% or 15.9 passer rating. Dead last of every single quarterback in the NFL playoffs. Dead last. In addition to losing the games coming into the playoffs. Defend that. And if you tell me it was cold, I'm going to laugh at you. You can't be that much in the tank for Tua to say that this guy was the worst quarterback in the NFL playoffs. He might as well have not shown up. Yeah, Skylar Thompson couldn't have done much worse. Mike White couldn't have done much worse. I mean, do you think that Mike White or Skylar Thompson could have done worse than a 15.9 QBR? Come on, man. You got to be honest. Well, Barry, against this team, he threw for 4,000. Yeah. Stop. Just stop. You're embarrassing yourself. So many fans have seen this, and I'm like, oh, man, I can't do this anymore. I've got people who text me and DM me who say they were huge Tua stans and no longer can defend him. no longer can support him because of what they saw basically in December and January. They can't do it. It's beyond comprehension at this point. I mean, it was like, train wreck. I mean, just like I said in the picture, it was a train wreck. And so far, as of right now at 8:18 p.m., it hasn't changed. Nothing has changed. Nothing is different. Well, Barry, stop talking so bad about the team. Okay, give me some good news. Give me something, anything that I can look at and say this could be better next year. I don't see it. I ask people that on Twitter all the time. I'm like, okay, if I'm trashing Tua, if I'm trashing the team, if I'm trashing Mike McDaniel, I will apologize if you can begin telling me the positive stuff that's been happening since the loss. And I always get crickets. I get nothing. Because there is nothing. There's hope. Lots of friggin' hopium out there. But nothing concrete. We don't even have a defensive coordinator. Maybe by tomorrow we'll have Leslie Frazier, who again is another 60-plus year guy, and he's not going to take any shit, and he runs a cover two and basically runs the same type of thing as Vic Fangio, and I'm pretty sure these guys aren't going to like him either. So right now they're probably trying to find that coach, maybe Campanelli, someone who can like embrace these guys and make them feel good. Don't want to upset them. Gosh, no, we wouldn't want to make them feel bad. Tell me something good. That Shaka Khan song. Tell me something good. See, you made me do that. I'm waiting. I would love to make a video and go, guys, you won't believe what good has happened today. But I don't see it. You don't see it. You're just hoping. You're really saying to yourself, you're not being honest and say, okay, Barry, this is good. What? I'm going to bring this up. Next week or the week after, before the Super Bowl, Tua got named to the Pro Bowl. And part of the Pro Bowl is probably going to be some sort of athletic competition for the quarterbacks. Anybody want to put money on the table and to see, like, is Tua going to compete against these other quarterbacks? Is he going to go through the skills competition? Is he going to put himself out there? I'd love to see that. That would be fun. We can talk about that. If it's live, maybe we can actually watch it live together. Tua competing at the Pro Bowl. We'll see. We shall see. So anyway, now I want to talk about something that really is probably concerning to some people, and it's the intestinal fortitude of this team, which teams I've been on, and maybe it was too much testosterone in the room, maybe, I don't know, but I've never seen a team in such disarray. Now I'm going to start with Tyreek, and some of you guys have yelled at me and said, nobody gives a shit about Tyreek and his divorce. Nobody cares. And I'm like, again, what happens between he and his wife is their personal business. The problem that people like me are having is he's lying his ass off. It speaks to his character. It doesn't have anything to do what happened in his personal life. Tyreek, when it came out in the Sun Sentinel and they said, listen, there's a filing for divorce, you know what he should have said? Very simple. No comment. It's personal. Over. Zip.com. Hey guys, sorry, I've got no comment on this story. It's personal. Over. Done. Everyone goes to bed. Never talk about it again. The guy's got his personal life to deal with. But no, that's not what Tyreek did. And you guys missed the entire, basically, connection to his character. What did Tyreek do? Oh, y'all lying. Take that shit down. Why are you posting? Why are you posting this stuff about me? Me and my wife, we're doing great. Everything's fine. Liar. You're an absolute liar. That's when he crossed the line. Very simply, he could have said, guys, that's my personal life. No comment. Hands off. But he's making it worse. And he keeps making it worse. So I'm going to show you something he put up the other day, which just... Where is it? Where is it here? I thought I had it. I'm going to have to pull it in here because this is... Oh, here it is. Okay. I want y'all to listen to this. Just listen to this.
Now, a lot of people, man, like, I've been in my business lately, like, and me and Key's business. And I just got to say that it sucks that, a lot of our stuff is public record, but behind closed doors, a lot of people got fired too for just for just doing things without a yes, and it sucks that me and my wife got to go through that, man. Like, public record says it, and right now we're in a spot of fixing it. I fired the fucking bonehead that did that mistake, and it sucks. Like, I'm like shit. We got another vacation coming up. I had to go ask her what's going on. Shit, so that's just to clear that out right there. A lot of people are like, what's going on? I'm like, hey, the vibe, bro. Ain't nothing going on with me and wifey, bro. Like, so
I have a question for you. If nothing happened, why would a whole lot of people have been fired? His words, not mine. Oh, a whole lot of people got fired. They lost their jobs. Really? Why would a whole lot of people have been fired? You caught that, right? You understand, some of you maybe who are in business or possibly have went through a divorce yourself or have had any reason to be involved in the legal system. You don't fire a whole lot of people. Who's involved here? How many people were involved? What was going on? What was not supposed to go on? And then the other thing that made me laugh is when he said he had to ask his wife, did she know what was going on? Because we got a vacation plan. Dude, you're the one who filed. You're the one who filed the lawsuit. Straight up. It's right there. The petitioner, i.e. the person that files, Tyreek Hill. Number 6, grounds. The marriage has irretrievably broken. Okay. It was a mistake, right? So, do you know how long it takes to dissolve a case and have somebody say, we're not moving forward, the case is over? It was a mistake, guys. Okay, so that happened days ago. Absolutely. A few days ago last week. So if it was a mistake, this thing could have been completely dissolved. Told it, hey, judge, sorry, we made a mistake. We're going to pull this case. So I told somebody last week, if it was a mistake, why does his wife get served a couple days later? Oh, Barry, it takes some time. Okay. So if it was a mistake, why did his wife retain counsel? Boom. Right there. Keita filed an appearance and had her attorney file an appearance. You don't file an appearance. You don't retain an attorney. You don't do those things if it's not real. If it's not something that you're actually involved in for whatever reason. She filed an appearance on, what's that? The 26th. Her attorney was retained. Who's lying? What kind of man goes up against the newspaper and starts tweeting shit about hey guy, you're lying, take that down, when that was last week? Let me put that back up again. Let me show you. It was filed on the 22nd. On January 22nd, this divorce was filed. Today is the 29th. In 7 days, this mistake divorce that a lot of people got fired over is still moving forward. What kind of man lies about that? And I said that in one of my videos last week. If you're willing to lie to your wife, we don't mean shit. It's easy for you to lie to us. And what's funny is there are people who actually saw this and still didn't believe it. They will believe anything one of these players says. He absolutely is in a divorce for whatever reason, which is none of our business. We don't need to know the details. We don't need to understand what happened, why it happened, who it happened with. It doesn't matter. The only reason I talk about it, is because he lied. He lied to the fans. He lied to the newspaper. And if you don't understand what character means to somebody, you really should. Because remember, this is the same guy who said that Tua was more accurate than Patrick Mahomes. Really? Really? And then we get this one from Tyreek over the weekend as the Kansas City Chiefs were winning. 15, Patrick Mahomes. 15 and Andy know how to win games. How about 1 and Mike? How about number 1 and Mike know how to win games? No, not them. You're talking about another team's proficiency, the team that you left, the team that you say, Tua is a better, or rather, more accurate quarterback. 15 and Andy know how to win games. Hey, man, does Mike know how to win games? Before I say anything further, you tell me if Don Shula had seen something like that after their loss, what would Don Shula have done if he had said, hey, man, XYZ coach and that quarterback know how to win games? But it gets better. Much better. So, again, we're talking about character and Mike McDaniel being able to rein this stuff in. Personally, I don't understand why Mike McDaniel didn't go to Tyreek and say, shut up. Don't go on your podcast. Don't go on your Twitch stream. Don't go on Twitter talking about this divorce and trying to make it better, because all you're doing is making it worse and you're causing scrutiny on the team. Not from some fans, because they don't even talk about it, man. It's up in his personal business. He's trying to make it sound like you're up in his personal business. He made it his personal business out there. You lied to the newspaper. Why did Mike McDaniel, the head coach, not go to Tyreek and say, as soon as that article came out, before Tyreek spoke and said the stupid shit that he did, Tyreek, I know it probably pisses you off. I understand they put it out there in the newspaper. Don't say anything. Don't type, don't hit your phone and start talking shit. Don't do it. Nope, Mike didn't say anything. Obviously, how do we know? Because he kept saying it. Then he made this video. I got a whole bunch of people fired. No, you didn't. You lied again. Mike, you're the captain of this ship. You're the guy running this ship. And you got guys out here, blah, 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 blah. Hey, Vic Fangio sucks. And here I'm kicking rocks. And, I'm going to tweet about Vic Fangio being gone. Oh, and Tyreek's lying to the newspaper. And Tyreek's saying shit on video that everybody can see is a lie. But you're not taking control. Why? Again, the bad news continues. Tell me something good. Tell me something good. I'll keep singing that song. I met Shaka a long time ago, did some concerts with her, and I just don't understand it. I don't understand these Dolphins fans who just want to put on blinders and not hear anything. But now it got even worse, more soft, if you could believe this. So yesterday, after the game, and he's talking some crap about the Blake Ferguson, decides he wants to get on Twitter and start talking crap about the Baltimore Ravens. And he puts this up, ran up the score after Chubb got hurt. I can't believe he actually said that. Ran up the score after Chubb got hurt. Never really sat right with me. Feels better now. So basically he's saying that he thinks that they ran up the score on the Dolphins. And he's been harboring that for some time now. And he was so happy that the Kansas City Chiefs whooped up on the Baltimore Ravens. And so I found that. Somebody sent it to me. And just like with our buddy, what's his name? Teron Armstead, who I kind of caught him in something. So I know these guys are looking at my shit because it's not until I say something does something change. And I'm flipping here through Twitter because I want to show you this. This is pretty funny. All right, so I tweeted this out. And I said, wait, what? This friggin' team is soft as F. The Miami Dolphins have some serious issues. This team is an insomnia. A reference from The Godfather. And I got the Kobe thing, soft. You're sitting here worried about somebody, running up the score on you. And then look what happens. If you click on the link here, it's gone. It's gone. I'm sorry, Blake. Your head coach should have told you to take that shit down. But you didn't. And you didn't realize that some of us would screenshot it and have it because you whined again on Twitter about something that a head coach should have a social media class with these guys and say, shut up. What the hell are you guys doing? You're embarrassing this team by putting this crap out there. And then you have some teammates who, instead of calling or texting Blake Ferguson, Javon Holland jumped in and said this. Tweeting shit about a team that beat you is lame. Don't be that guy. I'm sorry. Did you just call out your teammate in public? Again, this isn't Barry making this up. Javon Holland called out his teammate in public. Tweeting shit about a team that beat you is lame. Don't be that guy. Are you effing kidding me? I'm not making this shit up. I'm the one talking about it. I'm the one probably instigating some of these players. But I cannot believe what I'm seeing here with this team. I can't even fathom that they're letting things play out on social media instead of giving the guy a call. Hey, Blake, take down that friggin' tweet. That's wrong, man. That's lame. You shouldn't be talking about they beat our ass. Take that down. And it shouldn't have been Javon Holland. That's the other thing. When you look at this is Javon Holland talking to Blake Ferguson. Where was Mike McDaniel? Hey, Mike, you should see what Blake Ferguson put out there on Twitter. Oh, not again. What did this guy say? What are these guys doing out there? Mike, pull it up. Oh, my God. He's talking about getting his ass whooped by the Baltimore Ravens, and he's talking shit. Blake, take that down right now. Oh, here comes Javon. He's calling out his teammate. He's calling out his teammate before I could get to him. Hey, man, tweeting about a team that beat you is lame. Don't be that guy. Don't be that team. You understand what I'm seeing here. I'm showing you a pattern. People keep saying, Barry, you keep showing negative shit. They keep doing negative shit. Tyreek, lying. Completely lying. The facts are right there. You can see them. Blake Ferguson talking shit about a team that beat you. Javon Holland calling out his teammate. Mike McDaniel, nowhere to be found. The captain of the team is Tyreek. Tua, you're a captain. Did you not see this? Remember you were at the press conference and said that the girl backstage is the one who brings you all the information? Did nobody bring this shit to you? Did nobody bring this shit to Tehran when he and I got in a little dust up? Are you seeing here? Nobody keeps these people accountable. And then if I put something out there, I'm the bad guy. I make a video like I'm doing tonight, I'm the bad guy. When I'm the one who's merely pointing it out. I'm the one who's showing you guys, look at this friggin' nightmare. Look at this train wreck, and Mike McDaniel isn't getting his house in order. And I'll say it again, and I'll take some comments. What would Don Shula do? What would Don Shula have done if Dan Marino and Larry Zonka and Mercury Morris and all these guys were talking shit about other players on other teams and their teammates on social media? What do you think would happen? Be honest with yourself. If you're a Miami Dolphins fan, you know what kind of coach Don Shula was. if you think to yourself that he would allow all this to happen, you're lying to yourself. And you're the fake fan. I'm not the fake fan. I take it upon myself to make sure that people who watch my videos are completely informed, that they're not being snowed by these other YouTubers out there, that they're not being told a lie by these other YouTubers and some of the people in the media. I wonder how many of you guys had even heard about this. I wonder how many of you guys had even seen this stuff. I guarantee you nobody is pulling up court documents and saying, hey, Tyreek, if it's a fake divorce, it was a mistake, why'd your wife hire an attorney? Nobody's going to talk to you about that. They're all in the tank. I like being open and talking to you guys and going back and forth with comments and letting you know why I feel the way I do. If I just sat up here and I flipped on a switch and started basically talking bad about the Miami Dolphins and I didn't have anything to show you why I'm talking that way, yeah, I would be a hypocrite, a fraud, as some of you guys say, but I'm actually showing it to you. I'm letting you see it firsthand, and some people can't take it. And so I'm going to take some comments right now, but you guys can feel free to let me know what's positive out there, because every single day it seems like, oh, no, not again. No, are we really going to talk about this? They're going to do something again? I would think that today, Monday, Mike McDaniel said, everybody, team meeting, get your asses in here. First of all, I don't want to see any podcasts. I don't want to see any tweets where you talk about anything but next year and what we're going to do as a team next year. I don't want to see all this crazy shit that's going on out there. Mike, it's on you. It is totally on you as the head coach. Put your boys on a leash, man. I hate to use that statement, but they're out of control. They're absolutely out of control. And this isn't going to bode well, because whatever coach you bring in, defensive coordinator, he's going to see all this stuff. And he's like, okay, so I'm dealing with children here, right? Is that what you're saying? If they don't get their way, they're going to be upset? Come on, man. We deserve better. We deserve better as a franchise, fans, not because we're fake fans or anything like that, because I don't want to end up like this again. I don't want to end up going to games with bags on our heads because the stench of what's going on out there isn't being reeled in. Shit ain't going to happen with Andy Reid. Nope. You won't see this stuff with Andy Reid. All right. Remember Chris Wheeler. Hey, Chris, how you doing? Remember Nat Moore's celebration in the end zone and sprayed his ankle? Sheila benched him when he came back. Absolutely. Yep. Captain Swell. Well, what do you say? Where'd he go? Wow, Barry, that confirmed the comment I made earlier. Good catch. A bunch of feminine players. Yeah, anyone who's played the game, no, you don't do this. You especially don't. It's bad enough what Blake Ferguson said. Dude, you're a freaking punter. But it's even worse that Javon Holland, instead of picking up the phone, called him out on Twitter. And then Blake Ferguson, understanding whether it was me or anybody else, I need to delete this shit before people see it. Too late. What goes on the internet stays on the internet. Harvey says, I don't think that Mike McDaniel is a head coach. I think Greer is actually head coach and GM. The team has no chance until Ross is in memory care and Greer is in the gutter. Barry wearing a bag at 13-4. No, I won't be wearing a bag if they're 13-4. I'd probably put the bag on if they go 13-4 and get bounced out in the first round of the playoffs again. The rest of y'all can kind of applaud 13-4 in the regular season. Larry Thompson says, clean the friggin' house. If I'm Mr. Ross, I fly down and call each problem child in. Greer, Mike, Tyreek, Ferguson, Holland. If I don't like the answers, pack your friggin' bags. I write the checks on Mr. Ross. And what are you guys doing? This stuff is all out there. And let me know if you guys have seen this stuff. If you guys have actually seen some of the stuff that I've been showing you tonight. Yeah, Shula would hurt their feelings like Fangio did, but he probably hurt their feelings permanently. I don't need you here. You're replaceable. Exactly. U-Town says they'll go 13-4 and Tua get his bounced right away. Y'all yearly playoff appearances and y'all wearing paper bags talking about soft. No. An appearance. Look at the word you put there. Appearance. Who gives a shit about an appearance if you can't go further? That was a wild card game. A wild card game that your quarterback did a 15.9 QBR, and you're going, that's fantastic. Come on, bro. Be better than that. Be better than that. What's it here? Special? Yeah, he's a special teamer. Blake Ferguson's a special teamer. He's worried about getting beat. The best is behind this team, and it hurts. It doesn't have to be. That I just want to make sure everybody knows. I'm not down on the team. I am down on the way the team is being organized, managed, and handled. And right now in January, you can do some things to fix that. Like I said, bring in a quarterback to compete with Tua. There's no harm in that. Get these guys reined in and understand that they need to know you're going to be a disciplinarian. It's your way or the highway. There is no middle ground. You don't like what I have to say? Cam, pack your bags. This is how it's going to be. None of this coaching by committee bullshit. You'd think a guy with a Dolphins channel would at least know the players. One, it's not a Dolphins channel. Hasn't been a Dolphins channel for quite some time. I talk about the Dolphins, but I also talk about other things. You can go check if you want. Number two, I know who the players are. So there you go. Oh, not me. Oops. I guess he was talking about me. Let's see what here. We paid for a chip and we lost facts. Yep, absolutely. Let's sell Holland before his bad knees make him worthless. It's going to be something that we're going to see in the draft and what they do in free agency, because they're going to have to bring some people in. Sounds like leadership training for Coach QB and others would be good. Did I say that already? Mike McDaniel has never been a head coach until he came to the Miami Dolphins. He doesn't know what it's like to be a disciplinarian. A running back coordinator on a team is not the person in charge of being a disciplinarian on a football team. So he got thrust in this position mainly because he told whoever that he could probably help Tua become the type of quarterback they needed him. And in doing so, he had to coddle Tua and make sure that he felt he didn't suck. He had to make a 700-play tape. I'll ask you again. What would Don Shula have done if you walked in? Do I suck? Just go ahead and answer that to yourselves right now. Yeah, I remember Arn Sparger. Yeah, some of these guys, it's a Notre Dame channel. Oh, yeah, and can we hit in training camp and practice so when game day comes, we don't get hurt every time somebody touches us? Or you try to avoid people so you don't get hurt. We all saw what Duke Riley did against Patrick Mahomes when it's like, oh, I can't hit this guy, man. It's cold out here and I don't want to get stung. I don't think McDaniel has the personality to right the ship. He's going to have to get there. You decided to take the job as the head coach. You decided you wanted to be the guy running things. Now you got to run it. You need to be that guy both authoritatively and as a disciplinarian. And these guys, going back into the movie Bronx Tale, they have to fear you. People can like you, but they should fear you. And I don't mean that in like cower and everything else. They should fear that this coach, if he doesn't get the performance and way I run things, he's going to take me out. He's going to bring somebody else in. How many of these guys have that fear? How many of them have the fear, hey man, he might cut me. He might do this. He might do that, from Mike McDaniel? Sounds to me like the defense and offense were separate, and Fangio ran that way. I don't like the way you're playing, or I don't like the way you're talking, or whatever, but Cam Smith grabbed some pine. I ain't got no time for you. They drafted you. I can't get rid of you. I can't cut you, but I don't have to deal with you. So go sit on the bench. I'll let you know when you can play. Those of you who have played before, you know what I'm talking about. Until you make sure that the coach understands that you're ready to be compliant, you may just sit. I can't get rid of you. You're a second-round draft pick, but I have to keep you, but I don't have to play you. Is Mike willing to do that with other players on the team, saying, hey, listen, you didn't show up for practice. You did this. You didn't do that. None of this, hey, listen, we're not going to practice all week and then play on Sunday. when the injury report comes out, and I'm looking at vet rest that did not practice, questionable, and then he plays. The hell is that? Unbelievable. Captain Swell, the players need to feel they're walking on eggshells. That's the only way to get their best effort. Absolutely. I need to know that either I perform or I'm sitting. With these contracts these days, I can't really just get rid of you, but I can sit you. I'm like, you're not doing what I want you to do. We're going to bring somebody in who's willing to be like AVG and just get out there and motor. That guy just impressed the hell. There's some good news. AVG impressed the hell out of me. Jalen Phillips impressed the hell out of me. I'm so sad that those two guys went down at the end of the year, but AVG and Jalen Phillips, I think, are just motors. They just keep coming at you. They're going to give you 110%. You don't have to worry about guys like that. This will be Greer's and McDaniels last year when we finished with a losing record. This would be Greer's and McDaniels' record. I mean, even if they have a winning record, if they get bounced in the first round of the playoffs again. Can't do it. Can't keep doing it. Need O-line and linebackers. Both Super Bowl teams have it. Really? Kansas City's offensive line, wasn't playing that well. They gelled together. Maybe they had better coaching, but it wasn't a top-notch offensive line. Patrick made it because he can extend plays and do different things. That's another thing if you watch the games. Didn't matter who won or lost. These quarterbacks could move. Brock Purdy in the second half of that Detroit game, I was like, oh my God. This kid is just, he is, that's what I mean by put the team on your back. Take the team. One player can't win a game. Oh, really? You didn't watch that San Francisco game. Yeah, they got some bounces, but you could tell two guys on that squad, Christian McCaffrey and Brock Purdy, were willing that team to victory. Brock Purdy was doing everything he possibly could to get that team in a position to win, coming back from 17 down. There were so many plays where I sat with my wife and go, Tua can't do that. Tua can't do that. Oh, Tua can't do that. And then watching the Kansas City-Baltimore game going, yeah, Tua can't do that. Nope. Tua can't do. Can you imagine Tua throwing a pass and it get batted back down to him and him catching it and running it? Sure. What team needs a weak-armed, slow-minded quarterback? That's funny. The only thing that Purdy did was take off and run. That's the only thing he did? You sure about that? There were no passes that he completed that were just awesome passes. Nope, none of that? You didn't see that? So, you know what? It's funny when I see guys comment and said that Lamar Jackson lost, or Purdy about to catch that L against Kansas City. You understand that the performance level is up here. That to even compete in those games, the performance level had to be up here. And if you couldn't look at these teams and understand that the Miami Dolphins aren't there, they're not at that level. I saw more hitting than I've seen in any Miami Dolphins game. Just the different things that you saw. Tyreek couldn't get off the line against Kansas City. They buried him. They put his you-know-what in the dirt. These teams were in a different level. Let's say, hey George, how you doing? No Chris Chubb, not the gangster. Yeah, those guys could play, man. Let's see what we have here. Hey, I got games. Hey, how's it going, man? This is a good question. If Tyreek is not on the team, Tua will hold the ball too long and get concussed again and again. Well, I don't know. I couldn't say that. I can't say he's going to get concussed again and again. But I can tell you, based on what we've seen, that if Tyreek isn't there, this team really goes nowhere. I mean, the good teams took Tyreek out of the game, just completely out of the game. So it's again a fact. Somebody says Purdy got where Miami can't. Nope, they haven't gotten there yet. Let's see what we got here. A Super Bowl, exactly. Trade Tua X Chubb and Hill for draft picks and trade up for May. I wouldn't do that. But I'm not against trading Tyreek Hill. A lot of people think, Barry, you're absolutely nuts. Well, why would that be nuts? Guy's getting paid a crap load of money. And what could you get for him in terms of draft picks and capital and everything else if you traded him? Because you got Jalen Waddle. Are you telling me you couldn't pick a up-and-coming receiver that is just as fast, could be developed into something? It would help Tua make sure he spreads the ball around. I'm not adverse for him to be traded. McDaniel has no control over the team. 10-year-old me saw Zonka and the Finns dominate the Orange Bowl by beating the more physical team. Today's team is way too soft to win. Yeah, it is what it is. So again, I don't know. I'll have to go back and read some of the comments and see what some of you guys say. But I don't want to be so-called negative. I want to be real. I want to tell you guys what I see, show you guys what I see. And, things change. Of course I'll talk about it. But I can't ignore what we're seeing. I just can't. And luckily, there's some people out there who can't ignore it as well. Dave Hyde is probably one of the best writers out there in South Florida, and he's seeing it as well, and he's reporting on it. So I'm going to try and keep my nose to the grind and hope something good shows up. But at this point, it doesn't seem like there's much on the horizon, and I think we're going to get the bomb dropped on us. I'd love for Tua to play the fifth-year option, but I bet you they're going to blame it on salary cap, that they need to move money around, and they're going to give Tua this huge deal. And then I think we'll be back to, I think we'll be back at that point to possibly looking like that. If they give Tua a 4 or 5 year guaranteed contract, we're in big trouble. We're I don't even want to think about it. So anyway, guys, thank you for tuning in on a Monday night. Hope I didn't piss too many of you guys off, but I just wanted to show you some things. And no, I'm not being negative. I'm showing you what's out there. Everything I showed you today was stuff that was in the news, that was put out there, and it wasn't necessarily by me. So talk to you guys soon. Thank you again for tuning in on a cold